Irreverent Night Timeline talks with Placido Garza and Francisco Duran Rosillo.
Hi there, welcome to Night Timeline Talks. As I told you, we are doing some research and investigation to make possible this show from the bilingual perspective and the international combination of facts. Because Mexico and United States not only share one of the longest borders in the world, and the most legal and undocumented people cross that border every day, every day, every minute, all the time. Many things are going on now. We have for first time two presidents out of the box, Donald Trump and Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador. Both of them are unpredictable. Both of them are what we say in Spanish, dicharacheros. Both of them say many things out of the script. In fact, sometimes they use their sensibility, their humor. They don't hide the emotions. Both of them are very political and tough, and they don't care. Donald Trump if he likes to fire somebody, he tweeted. If he doesn't like somebody, he shows with the body language his attitude against that person. Same way with Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador. You know, both of them have briefings, press briefings every day. Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador early in the morning, 7 a.m. with the Mexican correspondents. And Donald Trump has anytime he wants. But he begins his day tweeting information, sending Twitter messages and telling what he agrees and what he disappoints. In fact, I heard that there is people that is printing his tweets, and somebody is planning to make a book with the tweets of President Trump. And by the way, approaching this situation, I must bring under your attention that one person, I believe that is called the Tabie, something like that. I don't play golf often, honestly. And there is a person who advised the golf player. And that person select the sticks of golf the player must use. He checks the wind speed, he checks the weather, he checks everything, and he carries towels to give to the player something to dry his head and a fresh drink in case he needed. And that habit was one day making Donald Trump amazingly surprised for the conversation they share along I believe they make a holes, something like that. Donald Trump was very happy. He was real estate businessman at that time, but the situation that caught my attention is that Donald Trump told to this gentleman, you know what? One day you are going to work for me. And this guy remains quiet. Well, that gentleman reads a lot. He's a person that reads every day the newspapers, and on the weekends he reads books. And this person is one of the people who advise President Trump to write his tweets from the campaign through this day after 2.5 years he's on the White House. But I disappoint with many tweets. Honestly, I'm not happy with some of them, but his advisors and the image people and the marketing people behind President Trump says that Donald Trump is original. He never hides anything. He says what he feels from the deepest part of his heart, or his tongue, or his finger tweeting. I don't know. But that is one of the main reasons why Americans don't feel frustrated with Donald Trump. If you check his popularity, sometimes down 10, 20 points, but as soon as it's a serious situation, Donald Trump is stable and has a good rate of acceptance on the American voters. As well, Donald Trump is trying to tell the people that the pandemic is not a political game. It's serious, is giving a lot of results, some cases positive, some cases negative, but he's there every day on the podium. Today he signed another 2 packages of money. He likes to restore the confidence of the American workers, making them receive their paychecks. Meanwhile, the regular business open and everybody come back on track. On the opposite side, I forgot to mention this. He asked, since the beginning of this pandemic, to landlords, people who own apartment complexes and houses and everything, he has don't evict people. The eviction is just when somebody don't pay rent. In the United States, they take them out with their things and they lock the door and they rent to somebody else. Also, he asked the American companies of services, utilities, insurance companies, cooperate with people. And they are doing. No penalties, expanding due dates to pay, and is something that the rest of the world is following. Many situations on regard of interest rates, reductions, and stuff like that. But on the next door, Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador don't forgive the due dates to pay taxes for the businessmen, and every single person who is a taxpayer must pay on the due date. My editorial partner, Placido Garza, is frustrated with that, and he told me that Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador has no mercy for the job creators. And they use the argument telling to Mexicans, oh no, they make the revenue last year because they are paying taxes about that revenue. If they like an expansion or a tax forgiveness, that is coming on next year because this year is the pandemic and it's obvious nobody is making money. But the point of view of the businessmen in Mexico is, if you give us a tax extension If you give us a stimulus plan like Donald Trump is giving to any company in America, we can keep paying the payroll, we can keep providing benefits to employees, and we can survive this pandemic because we have the money. What we need is the government help us. In my understanding, according Placido Garza, our analyst in our Spanish show, Charlas de la Noche, for radio, he is telling that the Mexican government pay back on services 30 cents of every peso states send on taxes or businessmen pays on taxes. In America, the service, cities, state, and federal budget pay back to the taxpayers. Well, I really see it in schools, expressways, new expressways, security, police officers are very well equipped, and honestly, I've forgotten sometimes things in my cars. I don't park the cars in the garage because I left the house running, and as I awake very early, if I use the garage opener, it's very noisy and my dogs start to bark and my family don't rest, so I don't do it. But it's unbelievable. Police officers, sometimes I drove around 3 a.m. in the morning. That is, I am going to the station because I am in charge of Hispanic markets in Vegas, California, many new Hispanic markets of the corporation of media I work. And I prefer start to manage the database for the commercial breaks. Early in the morning, I have time to plan and figure out what's going on. If I need commercials are not streamed or ingested digitally in the server yet, I have the time to work with the Q-tones for the local advertisers and many things. It's amazing. It's wonderful. But I left your house and my house is your house. And it's great. I find police officers almost every gas station. I feel confident to pump gas at 2:30 or 3 a.m. in the morning, and there is security, there is a police officer. I get my coffee and I get to work. So I see the benefits of the taxes I am paying. And it's sad to say, because one day I was visiting somebody who has a surgery, and in my way back, I got Uber to go to the airport in Mexico City. The Uber driver told me, because I broke under his attention, excuse me, his gas tank was almost empty. And I told him, and he, excuse me, and I told him, and he says, you know what, sir, I can't stop at the gas station. Due the problems with the security. And I told him, there is a police car up there, stop and pump gas. And he says, no. Where our police officers are delinquents. And sometimes police officers point the finger and tell them, oh, he's Uber, they are going to the airport, probably they have a wallet with cash, they are traveling, and it's the worst. And he was protecting myself because I was the one who likes to get out on the gas station. And he was telling me, no, it's the worst we can do. And I really appreciate it because I went in the Mexico City International Airport And hours later, I was talking with somebody else, checking in on the same plane, and the person told me, oh, I came late, I took Uber, and police stopped the Uber driver because he doesn't have the right permissions to drive to the airport. That is only for taxi cab services. And they tried to take his money. Wow. I made an introspection and I say, how blessed I am, and I appreciate my Uber driver didn't stop, and thanks to Lord I am here. And Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador was already president of Mexico. I tried to send a letter to the mayor of Mexico City because a police officer discrepancy is not a problem for the president of Mexico. But now many people, friends, tell me, Francisco, this government is failing a lot. I believe Mr. Lopez Obrador, well, if you read his biography, his first wife suffered too much. He was beside her when she suffered the problems of cancer, and he assists her. That is a conflict. That is hard. It's not easy to manage. I know that is street, and I cannot judge him for that side. Later, he remade his life, and I believe he came back to politics, and he's trying to come back, and many people analyze his actions and say that he's ill or he doesn't have a bad attitude or whatever. Many situations, I get many comments, but I am trying to understand. And somebody told me, Francisco, he justifies every problem he has with problems from the past. He used a lot of arguments already reused and used once and once again, and it is why people don't believe him. And I was checking the people of his team main problem, because I have a very good friend who is American, but he does a lot of projects beside with the Mexican government. And my friend told me, Francisco, the largest problem, the Interior Department, Secretaría de Gobernación, have all the agents or soldiers or Marines that are in the country, they have at least 10 years there. They serve to other administrations. And as the government don't pay well to these people, don't respect their rights, don't provide good benefits, don't give really a confidence to serve the country, they have no choice, and they prefer give their arm to twist with criminals. It's sad. I really don't like that excuse. Placido Garza, he loves to hack, I forgot the right word. He loves to visit the mountains, and he's going everywhere. And in Monterrey last night, something fall in a mountain, Cerro de las Mitras, and start to burn. Many people say that it was a meteorito, but he wasn't sure. I was showing him some sound bites we have for the show. And he answered very briefly and told me, sorry, partner, I can't answer the phone. I have to run to the mountains. And I say, why? Because there is a fire. And remember, the mountains of Monterrey belongs to me. I have to run. And he hung up. So we are preparing this show with him. We are doing a split screen concept. And he's very busy sometimes. But I was checking the audio, I was checking the video and testing this because he's on this project too. And I don't know, but I feel he's a little bit skeptical to appear on video. And he says, no, let's go to improve the radio show. Let's go to do many good things in radio shows and get award or win some awards as the best because he loves to be the best. He's very enthusiastic. And we try later a YouTube channel. Anyway, I understand his perspective and I will respect his position. I accept his partnership, and it is interesting because every day more audience is listening us thanks to Placido Garza. He has a very good points of view. So very soon we are going to develop a deep analysis of why many governors like to sign off from the federal government using the Congress approval, their local congresses. And they are at least 8 governors of the most important states in Mexico. This means that the President Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador has a lot of pressure. Many situations are out of control. He can be responsible in part, but I don't feel his team is helping. His team of advisors are not doing enough. As Placido says, where is Alfonso Romo? Where is Tatiana Cloutier? Where is that team that was all the time beside the campaign? Others point that the President Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador, the Mexican president, is having disputes with his government team and disputes with others, governors, and people in general, businessmen, organizations, and he took the initiative to decide by himself and don't check with anyone. So that is very risky. That jeopardizes the Mexican stability in times where the border cities are struggled by 40,000 immigrants from the Central American caravans, and they are in the border just beside the American side requesting the attention of the American government to have the permits to get in as workers or residents into the United States. And they come with the family, friends, brothers, sisters, and kids, and they are requesting everything. The American government has some mercy at the beginning before this pandemic, and they accept them. They were in mobile homes or, those plastic houses they make with air conditioner along the American border, and they have the families there. American government feed them and provide them clothes, health services. But after they have more than 100,000, American government says, stop, it's too much in our budget. What we are going to do is they must stay in the Mexican side, and we will check their petitions given in paper on the border checkpoint, and they must wait. And we are going to put a board telling which one cases the judge is attending every day, and people must check at the time they have their audience. They are allowed to get in, and depending what the judge says, they follow up. But it's a big problem. Right now, the Mexican-American border, I call in Spanish misery belt, un cinturón de miseria. Why is a misery belt? Well, the Mexican border with United States is a magnet for many people, Mexicans, no Mexicans, Africans, Central Americans, South Americans, anyone who wants to live in America, use that border to get in. And if you check with the Homeland Security agents, people use sophisticated systems to smuggle people into the United States, hiding in the car seats, hiding on the trunk, hiding on big tires for trucks, hiding between the asparagus, the United States import, many things. United States needs to use a heat radar that scan the trucks boxes and the trucks in general. And detecting the heat, they can see the human silhouettes everywhere. And that is the system they are using. But the Mexican government announced when the first 40,000 caravans get into Mexico, the Mexican government says, oh no, we provide them temporary papers and they can work and live in Mexico. No way. People, I have contacts, and people from Tijuana, Ciudad Juárez, McAllen, Brownsville, many places, people is tired because these immigrants are sleeping on the sidewalks, on the streets. They don't take a shower in weeks and weeks. They don't wash their clothes. It's a big problem. And now we have this pandemic. Imagine that. So government of Mexico must do something, because that situation is complicating the stability of Mexicans and the public health of Mexican citizens. And if Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador doesn't care because he's hiding in the National Palace, he has security belt and nobody cares, Mexicans care. United States care, because this pandemic is serious. And the president must face the situation. He says yesterday, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador says that if the public consulting they are doing with citizens results that Mexicans want another election, he will stay in the government until December 1st. Why? Because on December 1st, 2020, he completed 2 years and he has the power to select a successor, somebody he likes or he wants to keep going. And it is what Mexicans don't like, because they saw already all the mistakes. Let me put you from this perspective. Morena is a new political party in Mexico that appears no longer than 5 years ago. It is led by Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador and many people who quit the traditional political parties, mostly leftists, mostly communists, mostly union leaders, and people who don't want to work. What happens as soon Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador take the government, he start to deliver checks and EBT cards like running water to students and elders, because he cares about his income and their public health. Well, there is not public health currently in Mexico. Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador closed couple medication labs. Imagine that. And with no public health, people is desperate because they have nothing to do. They don't have a place to go. Private hospitals are... And the worst, if somebody, a physician, contact an actor and says, oh, please read this letter, we need help, we don't have medications, we don't have mouth covers, we are working without the right medical protection. Guess what? The Mexican government retaliates against this actor. Eugenio Derbez, he's a comedian, and everybody was against him. And the funniest is, this actor lives in LA, and a few months ago he bought a $7 million house. And according Wikipedia, he has $100 million in the bank from his movies, his productions. Well, people start to questioning, how much money did you put to help? People start to attack him. And when the president brought on his morning briefing the comments, everybody who follows President Andrés Manuel López Obrador start to attack, very sadly, start to attack to Eugenio Derbez and telling that they are going to boycott his movies and his concerts or wherever. Even his former wife says in the social networks that Eugenio Derbez is stupid. And let me tell you why his former wife, Victoria Rufo, says that. When they get married, they married in a nice hacienda in Mexico. Everybody comes, people from both families. And guess what? Eugenio Derbez hired a fake judge that falsificate the paperwork. So legally, they never been married. Legally, the marriage certificate that was delivered there was a Xerox copy from original, but signed by a judge who was retired 10 years ago. And the stamps were fake, and nothing works. The day the time passed, they have kids, the day they have a conflict, the wife asks for divorce. And she goes and see an attorney. And the attorney says, oh, what? Your marriage is fake. So you are not married. You cannot run a divorce trial. What a sad situation. And that gives an idea about how bad situations are in Mexico. Many people try to cheat and lie. And if the Mexican president says that this pandemic, remember how he says, this pandemic is coming like a ring to my finger, como anillo al dedo, telling in terms of manipulation and situations he likes to do. Well, these two characters, Eugenio Derbez and Andrés Manuel López Obrador, have a lot to talk with their background check, because they don't have the recognition as a good representation characters. And that is the problem of Mexicans. We trust most to people who hide something, to people that is not honest with us. Eugenio Derbez is a liar as well. He did many situations wrong on his life. I am nobody to judge him, but I believe that if he wants to judge the president of Mexico, he must check his background reputation. That is a fact that nobody likes to mention right now, but his former wife says the day after, he is a stupid. And it's true, honestly. Now, if President Lopez Obrador wants to change his mind, resolve issues, he must start to be honest with people. Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador is the last president who really was elected with a high average of votes. Nobody like him before have 30 million of votes. And what happens? He wasted all that sponsorship. As soon he gets into the government, he starts to play with the credibility of people. And this credibility was dark the day he released the son of the drug dealer Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, Ovidio Guzman, and he ordered the army stop the detention and free this delinquent. Sad. So Mexicans start to feel confidence on this president. And after that, the mismanage on the pandemic. And after that, the mismanage with the oil prices. And after that, the mismanage with the administration, the money. So, I am nobody to criticize presidents, actors, but I am just providing the information. Is all over the media, and you can read and follow up, and probably you can make a best analysis about these current situations and problems in both countries. Because in both countries, the Financial Times says Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador likes to manage the country as if he was a king. And somebody else, Andrew Cuomo, called Donald Trump that he feels like a king and he likes to administrate the government and the White House with his decisions, for getting that there is Congress and senators that needs to review every decision. But at the end of the day, in this conversation, is that we have two presidents out of the box. No question about that. Mexico and United States are going to have more problems due to that situation. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Lord bless you. Lord bless America. Lord bless the world. And I see you tomorrow.